I genuinely believe that karma is something designed to make you powerless. Karma is a drug that helps people when they've gone through something horrible to create the story in their head that makes them believe that justice will be served by some random person at some point in their future on their behalf, right? But the sad thing is that while you're waiting, while you're watching, while you're hoping that this justice will be served, usually that person is just out there living their life. And the thing about karma is that it's not 100% guaranteed. You hope that it's 100% guaranteed, but look at the people who've colonized and done atrocious things in the world. Most of them, their families are still eating great money and living great lives because of their atrocities. So now think about the person that you're hoping that karma is going to find. How much mental energy are you wasting on them? How often do you check? How often do you pray that their story is going to go the way that it should? Who's actually being punished by that attention?
Hello. You won't have to sign. I'm a woman of standard.
What you need to remember is that regardless of what happens, you need to remain the main character of your story. And if people wronged you, what you don't want to do is to give the people who wronged you a bigger character, a bigger role in your life story than they deserve. The most dangerous thing about karma is how sophisticated it sounds. Tell yourself, I'm not going to lower myself. I trust the universe. What goes around comes around. Even though those sentences sound like wisdom, what they're doing is that they're placing their attention on the person who hurt you. And wisdom that makes you pay attention to the person who hurt you instead of yourself is not wisdom. It is a high road that goes nowhere. I definitely understand where this is coming from. That sensitivity is not lost on me, but this channel is about talking about uncomfortable subjects. And sometimes you just need to stop yourself from doing all of that monitoring. First of all, we need to be aware that there are levels to being wronged, right? There is being wronged where legal course and justice need to be taken, where you have to open a case.
You gotta fuck it up, not the one who make the rules. Left, right, let me see you do it.
And that is 100% recommended. Go that route, right? But then there are wrongs that are hurtful, but cannot be taken through the legal route. Like, for example, if somebody cheats on you and it's your ex-boyfriend or whatever.
You gotta walk out that door, baby. You have a one-way ticket to get the...
It's hurtful, but you know, you can't really take it to the police. Even in those instances, stand strong in your power.
If you had a daughter, 10 or 12 years of age, what would you say to her about growing up in this society?
I would say you might encounter many defeats, but you must never be defeated, ever. In fact, it might even be necessary to confront defeat. It might be necessary to get over it, all the way through it, and go on.
When you look at Nandi, who is Shaka Zulu's mother, Nandi was expelled from the Zulu clan while she was pregnant. She was publicly humiliated, she became an outcast, and she was forced to raise her son on her own in conditions that were horrible. But she did not wait for this clan to suffer the consequences of them expelling her. What she did was raise a very powerful son. Wherever you go in the world today, everybody knows who Shaka Zulu is because of Nandi. The kingdom that expelled her became the kingdom that her son eventually ruled. Her power was not in the monitoring. Her power was in looking what is in front of her and making sure that what is in front of her became the best possible version that she could create with the resources that she had. You cannot give the people who wronged you a second victory.
Bitterness is like cancer. It eats upon the host.
I've said this in a previous video. If they wronged you once, sure, that day, cool. They hurt your feelings and yeah, they won, right? But you cannot give them a second victory where now they are controlling your emotions when they are not around. No, you need to refuse. The people who usually win, especially after something terrible has happened to them, usually do not win in life because the karma finally arrived. What they did was to redirect every ounce of their energy, not towards the person that hurt them, but towards themselves and towards their life. The win was not karma. The win was focus. Now let's talk about another woman, Harriet Tubman, 1849. Harriet Tubman is a woman that escaped slavery. She could have disappeared. She could have lived a very quiet life. She could have waited for the system that enslaved her to face its consequences. But instead, she went back to the same system that enslaved her. And she personally liberated 70 people. She did not wait for karma to free them. The people who enslaved people like Harriet Tubman did not face the consequences of their actions because the universe punished them. They faced the consequences because people like Harriet Tubman refused to leave all of that responsibility to a vague universe. She did not watch, she moved every single time and made it her responsibility to create the world which she desired to see. Karma and revenge are not opposites, but they play like an administrative role. Because what revenge says is, I will make them pay. But what karma says is, I will wait for somebody else to make them pay. Both of these keep the attention on the person who hurt you. The difference is not the outcome of whether you wait for revenge or you wait for karma. The only difference is who administers this consequence. And while you're waiting for this delivery, the people who hurt you are busy living, are busy enjoying, are busy having a good time, busy trotting along, unbothered by your monitoring system that you're waiting, these scales that you're waiting to be balanced. Now, Coco Chanel was a lady who was born in France. She was abandoned by her father the moment her mother died. And the time where she was born, not only did society at that time have a specific idea of women who were orphans, who had no families, were supposed to live like, but it had a very specific idea of women in general and how they were supposed to present themselves. And what she didn't do was wait for society to change and to listen to her dreams and desires. She dismantled the dress code herself. She's a woman who introduced trousers into women's fashion, removed the corset, introduced different fabrics through her will. The society that rejected her eventually became the society that wore her clothing to this day. And she didn't do this because she waited for karma to arrive. She built something so relevant that it was hard to ignore. And then there's Rwanda. 1994, probably one of the worst genocides in history. Apparently, 800,000 people were killed in 100 days. The international community that failed Rwanda has never been held accountable. But Rwanda did not wait. Even though that happened today, Rwanda is one of the fastest growing economies on the African continent, consistently ranked amongst the least corrupt nations in the world. It currently has a global model for post-conflict reconstruction. The nations that looked away to this day are being questioned like why they looked away, but Rwanda didn't wait for them to get an answer. They just built. They did not wait for karma. They took their country by their own hands and redirected their grief into construction. If waiting for the scales to balance is a trap, then building your life is the escape. The energy that you're spending waiting for the scales to balance is not negative. It is only negative because it is spent in the wrong place. It is aimed at the wrong address. What you need to understand is that the person who hurt you gave you something when they wronged you. And that thing is a reason. That anger that they gave you, that grief that they gave you, that need for the story to end differently is something that you can use for yourself. It can be used as fuel. That thing that they gave you, that the person who hurt you gave you something that you should not waste watching, but you should use to empower yourself to change your own circumstances. Coco Chanel didn't spend her life being angry at society, being angry at God for why she was an orphan. What she did is use that energy and made it her reason to change the circumstance of her life. Karma, if you're not careful, will make you live a life where you keep blaming other people and redirecting the energy that you should be focusing on yourself and putting that responsibility and expectations on other people. Yes, the responsibility, especially if you're taking legal action, yes, that responsibility should be on the legal institutions or the professional institutions that you're using in order to get your recourse. But outside of that system, even while you're waiting for legal recourse, they should never get the satisfaction to know that they ruined your life. Never give the person who wronged you a second victory. The day that they wronged you, okay, cool, right? You can be like, okay, cool. And if necessary, I'll take the legal action, and then you go, then those consequences will be handled, right? But either way, that person shouldn't see you sweat. Never give that person that satisfaction. Karma has the ability to feel like wisdom. It can feel like you are being a better person by waiting for somebody else or some other thing, to take this revenge for you. It can feel like you have transcended the need for revenge because you are waiting. But underneath all of that, the mere fact that you're giving that person and that situation attention, just by the act of giving that person attention, they're winning. They're winning because their attention is still on them. And I've made a video about this. If you look at my old videos about the power of attention, babes, attention is $1 billion raw material. Attention is more valuable than rubies. Attention is what makes social media companies very successful. Attention is what is making AI right now very successful. Attention is the thing that drives advertising and marketing companies and marketing campaigns. Attention is why the beauty industry is $1 trillion market. Attention is very valuable. And when you give your attention, regardless of whether you feel like you are on a moral ground or not, when you give attention to the people who hurt you, that person is winning because the energy is not being poured into yourself. It's being poured outside towards them. And in the meantime, your story is waiting. Coco Chanel did not wait. Nandi, when it came to her son, did not wait. And there are many other people who did not wait for this mysterious karma to come on this like a fairy to hand out justice for them. They created the circumstances that they wanted to see in the world. They were writing the chapters of their life. The only scale worth balancing is the scale of your life, not the one that you're monitoring and you're waiting for a fairy godmother to save you from. You need to stop watching for the scales to be balanced and you need to focus that energy on yourself. That is the only karma that matters. If this kind of content is landing, please subscribe because this channel that I'm building is about conversations, honest conversations that people have at like 2 a.m. in the morning or when they're a little tipsy. I genuinely believe that karma is something designed to make you powerless and something meant to distract you from your own power. And there are also other things that are dressed as wisdom, but they're actually weapons of weakness. And when you practice these philosophies long enough, they're going to compound and become very strong belief systems inside of you. And I'm just hoping that, when you watch these videos, you take something away from it. You are allowed to be angry. That's very important. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to want the story to be different. You're allowed to need what happened to you to mean something. But none of that requires an invisible administrator. What happened to you only means something the moment you decide that it means something. And what you decide that it means, I'm hoping it's a meaning that is going to make you a motherfucking badass. You understand? Because the moment you wait for karma to build that meaning for you, you might end up waiting forever. When you make that meaning the most precise, the most undeniable reason not to stop, that is the only time that karma is guaranteed. The kind that you build yourself. I always talk about the game called Earth. And one of the things that we are given as characters in this game is challenges, traumas, and heartbreaks. Every single person, regardless of socioeconomic class, regardless of race, regardless of gender, will be given some challenges, trauma, and hurts. And these things, are they nice? No, I did not design this game, okay? I did not design this game. I don't know why this game. Maybe I do know. I don't know, but I'm realizing that regardless of whatever nation that you come from, the thing that is very similar is that we are given that, and other things in this game. And when you're aware of that, you have to know what to do if that happens to you. But even while taking legal action, make sure that that power is still yours. Never let the person who wronged you take your power away. Don't wait for karma either. Karma takes her time. Does karma even exist? I don't know. Maybe she does. But I'm looking at these people who've colonized many nations, ruined many nations, and they're still standing very strong. Am I going to take the fact that colonizers influence society in a specific way, in a way that I may not agree with? Am I going to wait for karma to come for them? Or am I going to take life in my own hands and carve out my own path and create the life that I want to create? It is so easy, especially when you talk about systemic things, to keep pointing at the colonizer did it's so easy, right? But I'd rather point at myself and be like, what am I doing? This is the life I said that I want, right? What am I doing about it? I said that I want to drive a certain car. What am I doing about that? I said that I want to live in a certain house. What am I doing about that? I said that I want to live a certain way. What am I doing about that? Because that's all that I can control. You know what I mean? So life is a very complex game that I did not design. So please don't be mad at me. But one thing that I have control over is, and one thing that you have control over is your mind and the power and the responsibility that you give certain people. Don't you dare freaking give a mother effer who hates you power over your life and your circumstance. And don't you let a mother effer who hurt you make you believe then that you are less than who you are. Don't you let a mother effer who hates you and hurts you make you believe that you shouldn't push the needle of your life forward. Aim to be the best mother effer out there and show them that you're not going to win twice. F off. I'm going to be better than you. Look at Oprah. Baby girl lived on a farm, went through molestation, became one of the most recognizable media giants in the world. Use stories like that where you're like, I'm not going to let a mother effer win. No, no. You probably hated yourself and you did one, two, three. But guess what? My life is going to be fantastic. That moment is not going to define me, B. Listen, you understand me? Stay well, my love. And I wish you all the best. Stop waiting for karma. You're going to wait forever. If there's somebody who knows how to be late, it's karma, girl. You're going to wait your whole life and she might never even come.